Hey and welcome to Neverwinter with Aragon. So we finally have the first wave of the Warden changes. Again, this is on the PC preview server where we can test things out. They'll most likely be going live with Module 28 when that launches in April sometime. However, additionally, we have some Bard quality of life improvements as were promised, like ballads outside of combat. So we're going to start things off with just the Ranger, some adjustments there, and this comes from Brett Norton, who is the executive producer of Neverwinter. You can see some at-will changes there initially with rapid strike, split shot, split strike, and then some encounter power adjustments. Constricting arrow, rain of arrows encounter, rain of swords, and steel breeze encounter power. You'll notice, Ranger has a ton of powers because basically every single power is doubled due to it having a different effect whether you're in range stance or melee stance. Same with the at-wills, so they basically have double the amount versus any other class. So it does become a lot more of a balancing nightmare. But a lot of them are just increases in magnitudes, some slight increases to radius here, and Rain of Swords will become like a point blank area of effect rather than an invisible frontal cone. So all just improvements there. Small, but at least it's something. And we move on to the next set of changes, where we have some further encounter power changes with plant growth, reducing its cooldown, increasing its total damage. Then with the daily power, seismic shot. This is supposed to pull enemies together, and they should work properly a bit better with regards to the fix they've made with it. Also increasing its target cap to 15. And they've also made the grasping root mechanic. It will display the magnitude inflicted on immune targets on the tooltip. As we can see the mechanic just here, it says weak grasping root deals 80 magnitude damage to immune targets, strong 175 magnitude to immune targets. But now we do go to a Warden where we have electric shot at will, clear the ground, penetrating arrow, and storm strike. All just magnitude increases there on a bunch of those. Storm strike didn't get adjusted, but it did have its animation cycle revised a little bit to prevent, say, sliding, and same with clear the ground. But there are still some bugs with regards to the visual effects of those at-wills that they will be looking at, and I'll touch on where he announces that. But then you go into encounter power damage, and this is where the reworks happen a bit more. So split the sky encounter, the effects will now begin sooner, so when you actually go and cast that ability, the storm will actually start shocking foes a lot quicker. Additionally, its damage will no longer be tagged as, say, reflective damage, and the total magnitude has gone up to 1,000 versus just 620, making it very nice, say, single target attack power, but it's quite damage over time focused and a very long cooldown. Then a whole bunch more encounter power adjustments with throw caution, magnitude gone up to 400 and it will no longer decrease your defense. Boar hide also won't give you ratings, it'll now just give you defense, 2% per stack, so you can basically give everybody 10% defense. Fox shift, now all 3 hits may apply to the same target, and the magnitude per hit has been increased to 250, so making it a lot better. Thorn ward, this one is currently broken, but it's supposed to have its magnitude increased to 150 per hit, also having its effects begin sooner when you use the power, and overall it should deal more damage over a slightly smaller duration. But there's a known issue that the magnitude is currently 15,000 per hit instead of 150. Decimal places were misplaced. So you can currently use this to nuke bosses and have a lot of fun with that on the previous server. Don't expect it to stay around. I'll show you what I mean, and you may have seen it in my recent video about the Blood Arena in there, where we got to, say, the 15th wave just solo, but heavily crutching this bug. You place down the Thorn Ward and it just does massive amounts of damage. So They're 3 million on a non-crit without combat advantage, and again they're like 6 million. So yeah, it's very broken at 15,000 magnitude per hit right now. Again, will be fixed. Thorn Strike has been reworked, so it's a single target melee ranged attack rather than multiple targets in a very small area, and its damage has been increased from 300 to 450. However, there's a known issue that the visual effects and cast time are incorrectly decreased, so it will cast a bit faster than, say, it should. Moving on, we have the Cold Seal Hurricane daily power. It just got its target cap increased to 15. Not sure how effective that is, but at least it's a multi-target attack that you can use versus, say, seismic shot if that's more situational for you. But generally you'll be using, say, Call the Storm or Forest Ghost, to be honest. Then we have got Blade Storm class feature also having its target cap increased to 15, and then enhanced conductivity feat. It identifies that it increases storm conduits damage by 10% to 75% in the tooltip. But those will be getting adjusted. All of these feats and features will be getting looked at and having a bit of a rework, particularly the feats, these two here and these two. A bit more information on that, but this is the current state of them. Not the best, but yeah. Then we move on to some hunter changes. So aimed shot, you may have been used to it having a cast bar. That's going away, along with a reduction to the camera shake. The aimed strike will no longer display a cast bar, and its damage over time magnitude has been increased to 325. So it's more viable to use, and you might want to use it, say, before an artifact call to get the extra damage over time during the artifact calls. Then the hunter's teamwork, so the magnitude's gone up to 160. The supply effect has been changed to 10% heal, 10% stamina, 5% action points for nearby allies. And supplies should spawn slightly higher, hopefully resolving issues that prevented them from being acquired. But there have been people reporting that that's not fully the case yet. Otherwise, careful attack will no longer have a cast bar, and rate of change feat has been adjusted so that you'll basically only lose 5% damage every 3 seconds rather than losing 2% damage every second. This just makes it an awful lot friendlier to use. So let's show you a bit of a demonstration of those changes. You can see the adjustment to the tooltip here on rate of change, so that's neat. And then Hunter's Teamwork also having that more clear text of actually what's going on. There's your aimed strike buff, up to 65 magnitude by 5 hits. And so when you do kill an enemy with, say, Hunter's Teamwork on it, you should be able to drop, say, these supplies on the ground. But yeah, you could see there, Hunter's Teamwork gave us a bunch of hit points to us there, so it is like dropping those on the ground. But that's everything for the current changes on the previous server, but that's not to say that's all of them. This is only wave 1 again of the expected changes. Again, there are some bugs with that, like visuals effects, Thorn Ward being broken, issues with Rapid Strike getting out of sync when you cast out a lot, and then they did want to go and put some clarity on some questions with regards to weak grasping groups and strong grasping groups and how that works with regards to Hunter as well. And they said they will be reviewing how Hunter has their tooltip. There is a bug right now where Rapid Shot can be affected by Flurry when it kind of shouldn't be. But moving on, there will be some future changes coming. For example, Blade Hurricane is going to have the effect that it can also double the damage of your at-wills for ranged powers when you use a ranged encounter power, like with the melee way. So that would be neat, and it'd be interesting to see what kind of playstyles you can pull from that. And then, yeah, they will be looking at Storm Conduit, the paired feat with that as well. We can see some other changes here. A work in progress. Storm Conduit would change to something like this, where your lightning hits from Clear the Ground, Electric Shot, Split the Sky, Call of the Storm, Cold Steel Hurricane, and the third hit of Storm Strike apply Storm Conduit to the target. And this should increase the damage the target takes from your powers by 10%. So it's just become a damage buff. And then Deft Strike would get increased to 25% versus currently it's only at, what is it, 12%. That is ultimately everything so far for the Ranger Warden. I need to put together some of my own testing for that, see how well they are versus each other, and ultimately how competitive they are versus other classes, in particularly single target. Warden, it's not too bad in multi-target, and especially with an update coming to Blade Hurricane, that you will be allowed to refresh the duration of that when you use a new ability. That way you're not locked to only using, say, a melee attack every 3 seconds. So like if I was to use all my melee attacks here, I would have very few seconds left of Blade Hurricane. It's already gone by the time I'm pretty much finished. So that will be getting adjusted to refresh every time you use a melee attack. But with the new change, this will also be able to affect ranged at-wills when you use their range power. So again, still a lot of work in progress with Warden, and we'll see where things go, and I'll keep you guys updated. But let's move quickly over to Bard and some quality of life improvements they just gave it. So the massive thing here is the ability to now cast your ballads outside of combat, even from quick play as we just did there. We can switch that over to Ballad of the Witch, and there you go, you can cast it while outside of combat, gaining the effect. And so you won't lose it as well when you go out of combat. So that's really nice. That's huge quality of life there, meaning you can have, say, Ballad of the Witch set up and cast and prepared before actually going into your multi-target group. But overall, there's a bit of a list as well, where you have Tailwind Mambo. The activation has been adjusted a bit, so it's more a line rather than, say, a sphere around the player. Blaze Flamenco, Steel March, Tailwind Mambo all have max target hit of 15 now. That's good. Makes it a lot better to cast them, say, in the fight. And Duet's actually getting a bit of a buff. It's gone to 250 magnitude with 2 hits, so basically 500 versus 230 at 2 hits. Lunge has also got increased to 500 magnitude, just making it a little bit more effective in single target. Pretty good. And then, yeah, all those con elemental variants of the at-wills will be getting adjusted so that they will be actually affected by your elemental songs, which you can gain, let's say, plus 20 magnitude with those, along with the other feats and features. But they have balanced down them a little bit, reducing their magnitude by, say, 10. But that does mean overall they will deal more damage, a little bit more. And yeah, that big change there, ballads can now be performed outside of combat, is huge quality of life improvement. Otherwise, the Encore and Grandstand, those dailies will properly be tagged as daily powers for all those effects. Unfortunately, however, the Bard Songblade Lore Master research will no longer be categorized as a daily power. But they did decide to leave Activate Exploit as a daily power, so you can still take advantage of tacticians with that. Ultimately, that's it for this video. Warden updates and Bard quality of life. There'll be more class updates coming here and there, and I'll keep you guys updated. So once again, a massive thank you to all of these channel members for their added support, and we'll see you guys around. Goodbye for now.